Good morning, cadets. Welcome to KSP Naval Academy. I am your host and instructor, Camulus777. I do apologize. I haven't been around for a while. I think it's been about a month since my last video. Almost. Some stuff came up in real life, and you have to deal with those things. But I'm back, and I want to try and catch up with my videos. So I'm going to post this video and the one hopefully you watch before it, because they are in numerical order. The one before it's on mines. If you haven't seen it, then check that out. This one's going to be on VTOL, vertical landing and takeoff, and the tactical advantages of having VTOL. You can use a good example in the Six-Day War involving Israel, Egypt, and Syria. Sorry, that's my son in the background. There was a time on the first day of the war where the Israelis decided that in order to have any chance of victory against two overwhelmingly powerful foes, they needed to completely take out the enemy air power so that they could strike at enemy ground targets. And so rather than just attack every airplane, which they did, rather than just do that, they also set out a campaign to bomb every Egyptian and Syrian airfield that they could find, and that just involved pretty much just dropping a very heavy bomb on a runway and putting a crater in it. That way, jet craft, which need a very long runway to land and take off, wouldn't be able to do so, and thus you pretty much cripple your enemy's air power. Not because you destroyed all their planes, but because you destroy their airfields and they can't take off. So you've got 400 planes sitting there. You can't do anything with them. So to fix this, you need a force of VTOL-capable jets. Helicopters are cool, but they're too slow. Zeppelins are definitely too slow, and they're easy to target. So you need jets. You need something that can go supersonic. Today we've got the F-35. It's replacing the Harrier jet, which is a new innovation. Had vectoring thrust engines that it would take airflow from the intake and thrust it downward using these ventral things on the side. The new F-35 actually has a rear vectoring thrust that actually points downward, and then it opens a vent in the top and bottom so it can take air in the top and thrust it down. So it's got these two really cool designs, and we're going to go over some of the designs that I'm going to use for one of my new series that I'm trying to get started. I want to make sure that I can keep this one as stable as possible. I don't have a lot of views, but that's because I don't have a British accent. All the greats who have a lot of views all have British accents. Macy Dean, British accent. Let's see, Enter Elysium, British accent. Harv, British accent. So I'm just going to attribute it to that and not say that my videos suck, because they might, but I'm having fun making them. So let's take a look at some designs. We're going to go over the differences between rocket and jet VTOL, what they're used for, and go from there. Alright everybody, let me introduce you to VTOL 1. This was actually the first VTOL craft that I attempted to make. Attempted because at first it didn't work. And the main reason it didn't work very well, or didn't work the way I wanted it to, was because I have this plate here and not one here. Instead I stuck this thing on here. And even though the weight is balanced, the drag is not. And that can cause a few problems. I could just simply fix it by removing this, redistributing all the fuel flow, and then just putting another one of these on the side. Now the reason I want another one is because this was originally a rescue craft for all the Kerman that landed far away, or far enough away, or landed in the ocean. I did try to make this thing float, with no success whatsoever, because it doesn't float. It sinks like a stone. And the design is pretty simple. It's just a whole bunch of engines. It's pretty much just a rocket with jet engines. So it's a jet rocket. With, let's see, what are there? There are 8 of those things. 9. Got 9 engines. All thrusting downward to on start or on takeoff. This should actually be moved up here. And forgive the loud noise. I'm just going to thrust it up as much as possible. See, and this was my first mistake when I was just getting used to trying out these VTOL craft. Was I put the thrust up to 100% and expected the thing to fly straight up without any problems. What I should have done was throttle down to about a third, maybe. I think that's maybe less. There's a lot of engines on the thing. If anything, I'll land on the legs. And so, what I do here... Oh. There we go. See, I have a lot more control with that. If I just thrust it up all the way, things would suck. Things would suck bad. Not that they're going very well right now. There we go. So, you know, I'd be able to tip the thing like this. There we go. Tip it like this, and easily I get some forward motion going. Now I'm actually moving somewhat downward, so thrust it up. So I'd be able to travel fairly far away. You got enough fuel for it. Land, pick up my Kerman, because I had a whole bunch of stuff to actually pick them up with. They could attach themselves to the craft and then fly off. So here's Jeb again. He's flying the Hornet, which looks a lot like an Isbrit. Yes, it was inspired by the Isbrit. When I first watched the very first episode, with the first Isbrit, it had the other cockpit on it, and I decided, oh, this one weighs less, and I can stick, you know, a weapon at the front instead. This wasn't actually meant as a combat craft, even though it does have a missile on it now. I just decided I could probably stick one on here for fun. I do have combat designs now that the Mark 6 and 7 that have stock missiles on the side. You know, this is a little different than the other one. This is actually a rocket, a rocket VTOL, which is very different from jet VTOL, in that when I hit the rockets, my thrust is instant. See, if I had my jet VTOL, it would take a while for this thing to get up in the air. Increase thrust, there we go. This one is different. I can do that. I can reduce the thrust, and I can even just simply cut the thrust and fall. So there are some advantages to having rocket. There are some disadvantages too. Well, one of them is you really need to know where the sweet spot is when it comes to your vehicle. But I like to think that rocket is a little easier to control. Not to mention it works on surfaces with atmosphere and without. So this would probably be a really good fighter for Duna or something, because it can still fly and use as a defensive fighter out there. It can hover pretty good too. I can just keep on tapping this button. But you know, it's a cool craft. Rotate. There we go. And let's plop it back down. Let's actually see if I can plop it back down without killing myself. And that's why we get the air brakes. There we go. Oh. Yeah, let's twist that back there. There we go. So that's the Navy Hornet. And that's rocket VTOL. Again, the trick to VTOL is it's not just simply managing which direction your plane is going using the control surfaces. It's mostly, I mean, the finesse is really in managing how much thrust, depending on how much forward motion you've got. So this neat looking thing is the Nosferatu Mark 5. On the Mark 1, I started off with the twin basic jet engines on the bottom. And I like the design. It was really stable. but the problem for me was it was too slow. It got up to maybe 100 kilometers a second, which is not very fast at all. So I kind of kept the basic look of it, the basic shape, but I bulked it up a bit. It's a bit thicker. And I added a jet on the back, and since 2 engines were actually way too much thrust for the bottom, I just redistributed the engines. And then I also redistributed where the main fuel tank was, so it's got this air intake on the top. You know, I like the design. It reminds me of the death jets from Terminator Salvation. And this craft is incredibly stable. Really, really stable. Really easy to fly. I've got it set up so that when I'm going to launch either 2 or 3 of these, and I'm going to use them instead of rovers on lathe, because I can cover more ground with a VTOL, and or especially with a jet, because it can get up there. I mean, can get real fast or real high in speed, and it can, since it's VTOL, it can land on generally or roughly any surface I want. Whereas if I just brought a jet, I would have to have a jet that and some sort of rover attached to it if I wanted to explore places that are hard to get to. So these are designed for lathe as exploration craft. I have a 2- and 3-seater that are based off this design, but they're the Ulfbert class. And you'll probably see those next. So let's start this thing up. Picks up quick. Sorry, just trying to hover a little bit. There we go. Though I don't know why I'm in orbit. There we go. Well, it put me in orbit. That's pretty funny. So as you can see, it's got a decent slow speed. I can get the thing to go about 10 meters per second, or I can hover fairly easily. It can make really sharp turns. I can do these cool little rolls without crashing, I hope. Ah! That's pretty close. Yeah, slow rolls are pretty cool. You can do a pretty good climb. Should probably speed up a little bit. And flip. So, and you can just tell how stable this thing is. I mean, this is me not touching the stick at all. I'm not messing with it, I'm not touching it. Of course now I am, but and this is without the jet. Now if I stick the jet on, you can see my speed gradually increase. Now rapidly increase. At about 4,000 meters or 4 kilometers, I get to almost 300 meters per second, which is pretty decent. Although I've gotten this thing up to 550 meters a second. At max altitude, I think it can go up to 6. Max altitude is, what did I get it up to? 16? I think I got it up to 16 kilometers. Which is pretty good. So it's a wonderfully fun thing to fly. I can't get the thing to fall apart at all. There you go. Slows down pretty quick, and then takes dives pretty well, especially on the main engine. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. Brake on. I'm in almost a hover. So it's pretty fun. I love this craft a lot. And let me show you the next one. The next VTOL craft, this is inspired by my Nosferatu. It's called the Ulfbert. This is actually a rescue craft. I've got 2 pods so that I can rescue 2 other crewmen. It's got double the engines. Doesn't necessarily mean double the speed because it has a lot of added weight. It has an extra fuel tank. The other one had 2. This one has 3. About the same amount of control surfaces and about the same amount of wings. But it's just as... ooh, I gotta remember how to fly this thing. It's just as stable in flight. There we go. Reduce that. This one looks more actually like the Terminator death jets. I said looks like. These don't look exactly like them. I could probably model one, but I really don't want to. So it's just as stable in flight, climbs really well. Does loops, rolls. This thing is just really easy to control. Really hard banking turns. Rock back and forth, side to side. And then I can put the main engines on. Turn those off. And this is slightly faster than the Nosferatu, but the range is reduced a little bit because I'm using 2 engines and I have only 3 tanks rather than 4 to keep the same range. So it's not as long as of a range. It's not an exploration craft, but it's a long enough range to where I can get to a rescue zone and back. It's not as pretty either. I think it's just this section right here. I could probably fix that. Put that on there and make it a lot more pretty. But I still like the way it looks. And it climbs really fast. But again, really stable. Fun to fly, fun to play with. I even stuck 2 Gatling cannons and a whole bunch of missiles and bombs on the thing. I've got stock versions of these armed. This is the Mark III of the Ulfbert. The Mark I actually has the other cockpit with the flat nose on it. So it still can have 2 crewmen rather than the 3, and then it carries like a whole bunch of fuel tanks or RCS tanks, and I can just drop those on a target, which I gotten pretty good at. It's pretty easy depending on your speed, but seeing as this thing can hover, it makes a big difference. So let's see if I can't land it. Now I can do a VTOL landing, but I have to circle a few times and get the spot right. This is still pretty good landing, so let's see if I can. Little extenders there. So, all right, now I want to show you guys. I know a lot of you already know how to do these. I want to show you how to do a quick VTOL. Shut that engine off; it's annoying. How to do quick VTOL. It's not going to be the fastest, but it's going to be able to vertical end and takeoff and how to control it. And I'm probably going to use very, very few parts. Let's build our VTOL craft. We're going to do a jet VTOL, because rocket VTOLs they just don't have as much fuel, and we're not sending it into orbit, so use just 1 can and keep everything pretty basic. Now, I don't know if you guys all know this, but if you wanted to stick a jet engine on the bottom, you just take one of these, and you invert it like this, and then take your jet engine, and you pop it on like that. And that is how you add jet engines to the bottom of pretty much just about anything, so that you have plenty of space for your landing gear. Okay, let's take that out. Okay, but I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do, a little more simple. I'm just gonna stick two, kind of like two wings on there. So just a basic wire frame. And I need some control surfaces. Now, it's always a good idea, at least I like to stick them downward. Oops. If I can find it, there we go. Stick them facing downward. Like this. Just so they look cool. You get more stability that way too. I don't exactly know why. And then you can stick a series of some, like this one. Either stick two, or in this case, I'm actually only going to stick one vertical. There we go. And then two up front. Like that. Maybe a little back a little further. Like that. There you go. Let's do our landing gear. Actually, let's do a light first. There's one. Only one of these. That's good enough. And now we'll do our landing gear. I flip this around. Move it up a little bit more. There we go. See our weight. Two of those. I need that on. Alright, now we're going to do our VTOL engines. Have them spread upward like this. And each engine is going to go on. Oops. There we go. There we go. That is weird. Let's stick that there. There we go, that's much better. That's good enough. Each engine is going to go on here. Do it this way. You'll see why in a second. So I'm going to stick my turbofans on here as well. Which should just go on. There's one of them. Oh gosh. I hate it when it does that. Sometimes it does weird stuff. There, maybe that'll be better. Ah, it's much better. Here we go. Stick that on there. I'm gonna take one of these batteries. And this is actually mostly for show. There we go. That way it looks like there's some sort of filler there rather than just being empty. And then we're going to take our jet. And it's going to go on the bottom. I have clipping off, don't I? Yeah. Oh, I know what that was. Okay. I was just trying to figure out what the heck that was. There we go. And now we're going to need to center that. It's pretty centered. Let's see. Let's add another wing. Going pretty much the same direction. Invert it. And place it through here. That looks kind of cool. Gives it a bird look. And gosh dang it. There we go. It's our control surfaces. And just because I might have to idle the thing. I mean, you don't ever have to do this. I mean, really, if you don't want to. I just stick one of those on there. Just for fun. And on the very back, so that this thing is actually reusable, we're going to stick this docking port. That might adjust my weight just a little bit. Oops, sorry. Nope. Everything's good. Alright, I've got everything. I've got the wings. Got everything? I don't know, we're gonna call this just VTOL. Here we go. Brakes. Ready. That on. Launch. Put the resources up here. Got plenty of battery life. Yeah, this is far more stable now with these extra control surfaces and wings. Let's see what our top speed can be. Gotta gradually increase the thrust until we're at full. Wow, this little guy's not bad. I'm not even touching. Almost perfect level flight right there. Look at that. Refuelable. Pretty fast. Very maneuverable. Not quite as stable as my other ones, but this one's... Let's drop the throttle a little bit. This one's a bit easier to maintain, I'm sure. Less parts, it'd be increasingly less expensive down the road. A heck of a lot less fuel, so it doesn't quite have the range. Come in here for a landing. And Bill here's he's kind of apathetic about the whole thing. He's like, yeah, I do this every day. Drop my altitude. I'm going to start my descent circle here. Drop my throttle a little bit more. See, I just put myself in a turn. Kind of a banking turn here. There we go. Here's our vertical landing. That's not bad. Quick, easy, efficient. Can have fun with this thing. Alright, I told you guys I'd show you some designs of other people that they've sent me. Of course, Zeke's again was nice enough to send me one of his designs. This is his stackable missile, MK3 heavy missile. So I guess Mark III. This has quite a long range, not just because of fuel, but because it will never run out of power. It's got these batteries on it. RCS, it's again stackable, and it's controllable. These can be fired dumbfire, or it can be fired like a smart missile or a cruise missile, so that you can smack it right into your target. So these are actually pretty cool. I shot down a few ships with these. You know, they're pretty powerful. It's like smacking a excuse me, like smacking a elephant into a building. So, let's see. That's not bad. Let's see how much this thing weighs. Total mass, 7.97 tons. I know this isn't his largest missile. He's got like a 15-ton missile somewhere. But this one will do. This is pretty much similar to my cruise missile. The only difference is I think I had a heavier head on the end. But when you're dealing with 7 tons smacking into something, that really doesn't matter too much. So, and then we have, this is the Zealot stealth fighter. Of course, there's no stealth in KSP per se. Kind of hard to come up with the rules. But this is by Mega Ultraman 25. He's been wanting to show me this design, and you know, I like it actually. It's a bit part heavy, but it's pretty cool looking. It's got three sets of weapons. You can launch the weapons 3 times, and then it's also got an escape pod. So if you need to get your guy back, you know, down to Kerbin, you can simply just re-enter the atmosphere and pop him off, and he'll land because he's got the parachutes. I accidentally shot some of the weapons, but that's okay. I hit the button by accident. So there's only one thing I would change about this design, is the launching staging to get it into orbit. It's just a bit flimsy. It was a little difficult. I blew it up twice. I only added a linkage between 2 parts, so that's the only thing I would have changed. But other than that, it's really cool looking. It's pretty maneuverable with RCS, and it has 4 ion engines. That's why the massive solar panels. These ion engines allow it to get to lathe actually looks like pretty easily. So there's a lot of fuel for the ion engines. I mean, this thing can float around in space for just about, you know, an eon or 2. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Mega Ultraman 25. This is the broadsword by Spartu. He was nice enough to let me look at this. It's a drone class fighter, I guess. 9 missiles, 2 ion engines. This stage that would allow me to get to lathe and back and lathe again, probably. It's got a lot of fuel right now. Yeah, it's quite a bit of fuel for those 2 nuclear engines. So, this is a really cool design. I was able to destroy a capital ship with these, but I think only once. I managed to hit it in a sweet spot, and I guess I destroyed one of the fuel tanks, and it exploded. A brilliant ball of fire. It was pretty awesome. I wish I got it on tape. Or I wish I'd recorded it, because we don't use tape now. So, thank you, Spartu. This is awesome design. This here is the Salvation class destroyer. It's by War Eagle 1. Pretty cool looking thing. It's one of the only ion engine destroyers I've seen yet. It takes a while to get up to speed, but you know, it's actually pretty impressive that it doesn't weigh too much, but you know, it has a decent amount of fuel for transfer orbits in between moons with these nuclear engines, and then it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think. 8 fuel tanks. Yeah, actually has less fuel than than that drone that we had earlier with the launch stage still attached to it. But that doesn't matter with the ion engines. You can get out to Lathe and back with these, no problem. It's got plenty of power, as long as, of course, the sun is facing the right direction. And you make the sun face the right direction, not your ship. 2 crewmen, and it had 2 missiles that I accidentally launched off. Again, I'm used to all my ships, so when I launch things, I get a little carried away. And I start hitting 1s and 2s, and you know, start launching off the missiles by accident. And rather than relaunch the thing into space, I like to show it off as a ship, because I'm gonna try and reload this thing. It doesn't look like it would be too hard. These kind of worry me a little bit, but you know, it's pretty cool. I like the flare out too. But thanks War Eagle 1. It's a pretty cool design. And that's it for our show today. I know I'm started doing them every 2 weeks, just simply because I gotten really busy. This is kind of I'm not exactly doing this for a living, so I get to do that. I have to do my living. It would be cool if I got enough subscribers and viewers, so I'm going to start doing different videos, obviously, because there are a lot of KSP videos out there. Not a lot of tactical ones, though, so which is kind of interesting. But I'm going to start doing some other videos, like some tutorials and things on KSP, and then I don't want to do any other games, per se, at least not yet. I might do a few other different types of shows, some sciencey shows, because you know I'm a big physics buff and chemistry buff and well, all around science geek. And those things interest me, so if you're interested in those, you can subscribe. If you viewed and haven't subscribed to my videos or to my channel, please subscribe. If you subscribe, I get to do more stuff, and I can convince my wife that I get to get to make more videos. So thank you very much for watching, and this is in KSP Naval Academy, Camulus 777 signing off.